It's so heavy. This is what I have been using to record my guitars with since I moved to Nashville almost 8 years ago. It has a suspension system, and let me show you. Now, I have done several videos on this already, so be sure to go check those out. If you would like to see more, I'll link them down below. But I built this as a solution to silently record guitars in the apartment that I moved into when we first moved to Nashville. Now, I knew we were gonna wind up in an apartment, so my goal was to build something that was the quietest it could possibly be while still fitting through the door of an apartment. This is a giant box. It's 3 layers. This is 3/4 inch plywood, a layer of green glue, a layer of 5/8 drywall, a layer of green glue, another layer of 3/4 inch plywood, and then inside, suspended on rubber straps, is the actual speaker cabinet. Inside this speaker cabinet, we have a Royer R121 and a Beyerdynamic M201 with a Weber speaker. Now, I've said it before, the best guitar tones I've ever gotten in my entire career have come out of this box, and that's why when I built this studio and moved in here, I didn't find it really necessary to build a booth or to start miking up my actual cabinets, because this is the best sounding guitar tones I've ever had. But unfortunately, after many years of using this box, I'm gonna have to get rid of it. There's some really big changes, unfortunately, kind of. There's some really big changes coming to this room. It's got to get a complete overhaul. It's not just for videos. It's not just because people are sending me gear or anything like that. There's some massive changes coming to the music industry that I have to do a huge overhaul in this room to be able to handle. And part of that means that this box is no longer, I'm not gonna have room for it anymore. Now, the reason why I built this instead of running a Kemper or something like this is it was 8 years ago when I built this, and 8 years ago, there kind of wasn't like the options for direct recording that we have now. They just didn't sound that great. So I have spent the past couple weeks testing a bunch of the most popular direct recording options in an attempt to figure out what is going to replace this cabinet, and if I could get close to the sonic qualities of this cabinet, or if I could even beat it. Is that even possible with direct recording? Here's what I came up with. Okay, so let's talk about my recording chain with those, because I would want to know. The guitar is a PRS SE hollow body. Love hollow bodies, especially for that swampier, bluesier, fuzzier kind of sound. I think hollow bodies are awesome for that. I've used this on a bunch of records so far, and I absolutely love it. So guitar, PRS hollow body SE, into the Pettyjohn Rail overdrive pedal, into the Supro Blackmagic reverb, and then straight out the speaker output of the Blackmagic reverb into the Boss Waza tube amp expander. Now, I created all my own custom presets, and I'm gonna leave them in a link down below, so that way if you have this or you end up picking this up, not only will there be a link to this Waza tube amp expander, but I'll also leave all of my settings down below. Now, surprisingly enough, I actually think that sounded better than what I used to get out of this. There's one thing that I used to struggle with this cabinet, and that was this high resonance, about like 2.5K to 3K. There's always kind of this peaky mid-range thing, upper mid-range thing that I always struggled with. It was the biggest guitar tones, the most authentic, everything else, but there's this just one thing. And that tone that you just heard, what I've settled on for my exact settings, I actually like it better. It's easier to mix, it's more even and polished sounding. Never in 100 years did I think that I would be able to beat this with an amp simulator. Here is one more thing that I've recorded with this so far, and then we're gonna go over some details on exactly what I chose. I know myself. So that was a solo on a song by Clayton Shea. I'll put Clayton's info down below. The song is not out yet, and that song was not mixed at all. That was just completely raw tracks. But the signal chain for that was my Iconic Guitars Telecaster here. Unbelievable guitar running into the Friedman Small Box 50, into the Waza tube amp expander, straight in. Real quick, I just want to jump in here and remind you guys that you can win a pair of Auratone 5Cs, the active versions that are new. Auratone is up for a TEC award, and so to celebrate, we're giving another pair away. You can check the details on how to enter down in the description below. Don't get scammed by scammers in the comments. I will not reply to your comments saying that you have won, and I will not ask for any money, but don't forget to check all the details down below to see how you can win your very own pair of Auratones. Okay, there's a couple things about this Boss Waza tube amp expander that makes me like it better than the other options. And the first one is this reactive load, the fact that you have an adjustable reactive load. So this is your presence switch, and this is your resonance switch. So you can think of this as like low-end thump, and you can think of this as like presence on your guitar amp. Both of those are incredibly useful in making this feel really good. After trying a bunch of different things out, I do think that this one feels better than the other ones, which is why I chose it. The other cool thing is you have up to 10 savable presets for your different rigs, which is really awesome. You can plug headphones right into it. You've got your line out control. You can control your amp with it. It's got a built-in effects loop. You can turn the effects inside of it on and off. You can turn the EQ inside of it on and off. Now, I don't plan on using this next feature, but one of the coolest parts is it has this speaker output, and this has a 100-watt power amp built right into it. So instead of using a power break to soak up all the amp's volume and make it quieter, this basically turns the speaker output all the way off, and then this speaker output runs the internal power amp to your speaker cabinet. This is supposed to give it a better, less affected sound than like a power break would in a lot of the other boxes that are simply just lowering the output to your speaker cabinet. Okay, so I want to walk you guys through the software that comes with this tube amp expander. So first, you've got your 10 rigs right over here, and you can change anything about these rigs, and these are the 10 presets that are on the front of the unit. So first up, you've got your input, you've got your effects loop, which we don't have active. This is showing that you have signal right here. Then you have a compressor built in, a couple different options for compressors. In each of these, you've got your threshold ratio, level, attack, and release. Then you've got your delay with a bunch of different options, a single, a pan, a stereo, an analog, and you have control over all of the elements within the delay. Then it goes to a reverb, in which you have a handful of different types of reverbs and all of the parameters, the tones, the density, the pre-delay, all of that stuff. And this is where it splits apart here. So this becomes your speaker signal path. So from after the reverb, it goes through the power amp section built in. Then you've got another EQ, and goes right to your speaker output. And then this way is your line output, your stereo line output. Then you've got a line EQ here. You've got a few different options for EQ. You've got a graphic and a parametric. Then you get to your simulator. You've got all your different cabinets, which there's quite a few different cabinets. And one of the things that I love about this is you actually get to input your own IRs. If you have IRs that you really love, you can save up to 32 different IRs in here. Then you have your different microphones. You got a 57, a 421, a 451, 87, a 121, and then a couple blends. Now I have found that the 87, the 121, and the blend are my favorite options. But again, I'll put a link down below to download exactly what my settings are, my preferred settings. Unfortunately, these are just going to be screenshots because I don't know how to actually share my profiles, my presets, but at least you can go through every single thing and set it exactly how I have it set if you'd like to do that. You've got your mic distance, short, medium, and long. This is how far the microphone is from the speaker cone. And this is my favorite part right here. This is the best way that I've seen this implemented, and I've tested a bunch of these different things out recently. You've got your mic position. Now it starts in the center, so that would be the microphone dead center on the dust cap in the center of the speaker, and then in 1 centimeter increments, you go all the way out, 10 centimeters out. It sounds like to me is like outside the cone or outside the edge of the speaker, and this is super, super powerful. This right here, in conjunction with the reactive load and the presence control and the bass control, the resonance control, this is what does it for me. This is what makes this the winner. In all the other options I tried, I just couldn't quite get the mic position exactly where I would mic it up in real life. And that was really frustrating because the other units that I tested were so close. They were so close to being great. And then you've got your room mic. Now, I do wish that this was more expansive. You've just got anechoic chamber, which is basically no room sound, small room, mid room, room A, and room B, and big room. You don't get to adjust the blend of the room. You don't get to adjust the mic placement within the room. You don't get to adjust the level. That's a little bit of a bummer. I don't ever use room mics when recording guitars in any scenario ever anyway. So it's not that big of a deal to me, but I know a lot of people really like that. It would be nice to see some more control over the room microphones. Fortunately for myself, it doesn't matter. Now, in addition to those settings on the actual cab simulation, then you go into the system settings and you get all your USB, your MIDI settings, your global EQ. You can set an EQ for the whole system, which I find really fascinating. So if you have a particular tone preference, you can kind of dial it in here and not touch the actual profile EQ as much. That's very cool. You get into your foot controls and your speaker polarity, and it's got a Fletcher-Munson curve, which is a really nerdy thing. I haven't played around with this, but it's kind of interesting. And then all of your technical system settings. So the only things that I think is missing here is I'd like to see a couple more microphone choices. I love a Beyerdynamic M201 on guitars, for instance. I would love to see that included. I would love to see the ability to mix and match microphones. That would be incredible. That would be a game changer. However, I haven't found it necessary to get great tones, but it would be nice that if it had it. And also, I would like to see the room microphone section have a little bit more adjustability. I'd like to be able to place the microphone in different spots throughout the room, and I'd like to be able to raise and lower the blend of that room microphone in the overall signal. Those are the only negatives I can come up with. Now on the back, there's a whole bunch of different things here. You've got your left and right line outputs. I love that they are XLR. You've got your built-in effects loop here, so you can run an actual effects loop like you would on your amp. It is controllable via USB, as you can see there. There are MIDI outs and throughs and ins, so you can control the different settings via MIDI. You got your different foot controls here and your amp control here, your speaker outputs, and then the input from your amplifier, so you can select what ohm it is and also what kind of wattage you're running. Now, part of this whole process was really digging in and trying a bunch of options out, spending real time with each option, setting up my own custom profiles for a bunch of the different, cabinet simulator systems out there. And I have to give a huge shout out to my friends at Sweetwater, because they were so kind when I first was like, hey, I need a direct recording option, but I don't know what to go with. And guitar tone is such a deeply personal thing. I was like, I need to try these out. And they're like, no problem. We got you. They sent me a bunch of the main options that everyone uses, all the top options. They were so kind to send me all of those and let me play around with them and create my own profiles in each one of them and spend all the time in the world with one of them, so that way I could choose one that I would move forward with. As always, Sweetwater is sponsoring this video, and there are links down below for all the gear in this video. So don't forget to hit all the links down below, or anytime you need any piece of musical gear, jump on any one of my videos, click on any one of the links, buy anything you actually need, and it goes a long ways to help support this channel and help me and keep helping me make videos like this. What's wrong? Did I just have an aneurysm? Thank you, Sweetwater, for sponsoring this video, and thank you for the help with this whole situation. So one of the oldest tricks in the book when it comes to recording guitars, electric guitars, is if you double a part, you play the same part twice, and then you pan one of them left and one of them right, and this is the way that you make a bigger stereo image. But the tweak on that is the more things that you can change between the left and the right, the bigger it actually sounds. So it's really, really common to record a pass with one setup, one entire signal chain, and then change the guitar and the amp and the cabinet and the microphones and the microphone preamps, and then record the whole thing again, pan them left and right. This will give you the maximum sound stage, the maximum width and size in your recordings. Now, what's interesting about this tube amp expander is that I was kind of able to do that all inside this box. So over the past couple weeks, I've developed two profiles that I'm really fond of, and they are different cabinets and different microphones and different mic positions. Basically, they are right here on rig 1 and rig 2. And so in that piece of music, the only thing that I did was switch from rig 1 to rig 2 to do the doubles. I was really, really impressed with how authentic that felt. And not only did it feel authentic while playing it, but also it felt like it was really big and really wide, and that was really awesome to not have to switch the guitar or the amp to come up with that result. The other thing that I should mention is that this comes with rack ears right out of the box. So this will absolutely be getting rack mounted. I will absolutely put this in a rack, and that makes me very, very happy because a lot of the other options don't have that. Okay, so the amp I was using on that was the Supro Black Magic Reverb. Really, really cool amp, really vibey. It has really, really good reverb and really good tremolo built into it. 2 channels. Killer amp. Now, with most of these amp simulator things, I think the misconception is that since they come with so many cabinets and so many microphones and all that stuff, that you're going to be able to have dozens or hundreds of different combinations that sound great, and I don't think that's the case. After testing multiple units, I was only able to come up with 1 or maybe 2 different sounds that I actually genuinely believed in, that I thought was a robust enough profile to use with multiple guitar tones on multiple genres. Now, I do think the same is true for this one, although I think I'm going to be able to come up with about 4 or 5 different tones, different profiles in this box, and I'm really curious to try out different IRs that didn't come with, but I think I'm going to be able to come up with 4 or 5 different profiles that are going to be really robust and hold up to all kinds of different scenarios and genres. So that's a huge win, because I used to have an entire rack of speakers to swap the speakers out in my ISO cab in order to accomplish this. Don't forget links down below for everything in this video. I'm really pumped with this new system. I'm completely satisfied with that, and I did not expect that to be the end result. I expected to have to sacrifice something in order to get rid of this ISO cab, in order to go direct. What a couple weeks of testing has been. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. Drop me a comment down below and let me know, what are you using for direct guitar? Because I'm always looking for what's the best thing, and I'd really be curious to hear what you guys are using. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, hit the bell, all that stuff. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.